Hi everyone. Hi from Egypt. My name is Mustafa Mahmoud. I am an artist and instructor. You are in for a treat today. We have a very special guest, what I call the Mayanist, Charles Miano. He is a founder of Southern Atelier and he's an ARC living master. So let's see this.
Drawing is the necessary beginning of everything, and not having it, one has nothing. Great artists of the past went through extensive training in drawing, and today's most successful artists understand that drawing is the beginning of everything. Drawing has always been, and continues to be, the foundation for all art. When you perfect your drawing skills, you take your art to a higher level. Sadly, in our high-speed modern world, drawing skills have fallen to the wayside because few are willing to take the time and energy it takes to learn to draw. Yet those who do will excel as artists. Now, you can learn to draw using the same techniques of the old masters, which you cannot find in most art schools. Yet these foundations are timeless and as relevant today as they ever have been. In Old Master Portrait Drawing, master artist and instructor Charles Miano will teach you his proven method for creating classically inspired portrait drawings. For over a decade, Charles has guided artists by sharing his historic method of instruction, which is based on the universal principle of nature and the extensive study of the old masters. By upgrading your skills, you can bring credibility and authority to your own artwork. People will marvel at the quality of your drawing ability. You'll find this balance of both loose and expressive approach, blended with aspects that are classically finished to be innovative and fresh. Watch as Charles shows you how to humbly examine nature in order to capture vulnerable qualities such as life, energy, motion, and loose spontaneity. He'll demonstrate how to break down a complicated classic approach to portrait drawing into small, easy steps that anyone can practice and apply. You'll learn important human anatomy and how to accurately translate features into your drawings. You'll go beneath the surface of the human face to capture the essence, consciousness, and spirit of another human through the techniques Charles will teach you. You'll be surprised at how easily you can learn this, and you'll be amazed at how it impacts your own artwork. Just as the old masters did, you too can discover the nature of reality through drawing. Old Master Portrait Drawing with Charles Miano, available on DVD and digitally to view on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. Order today and master the art of drawing.
Well, that was fabulous. I can't wait to talk a lot about many topics. So many art students in Egypt and a lot of Arab countries are so excited to ask Charles so many questions. So without further ado, let me introduce to you Charles Miano. Hi, Charles.
Hey, Mustafa. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Terrific. It's so great to see you. Here we are across the world, my good friend, and just thank you for having me here.
It's a privilege, and a lot of people are waiting for this interview because they have a lot of questions for you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
How did this whole thing happen? Did you fall in love at a young age, or what was your spark to start painting?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. You know, I've always loved art, and when I was a young boy, one day I was in the kitchen when my mom and my father were painting the walls, and I put my hands in the cans of paint and I started painting all over the floors.
Oh my God.
So that was probably something that's always something my parents tell me I did, but it's just so funny. But no, I didn't actually. In all honesty, I didn't get real serious about drawing and painting till after I graduated high school. So I always had that creative spark growing up, but I didn't start to really study art till after school. So and then I really got into it. So you know, in my early 20s, I started to seek out these master artists that were still alive and that knew kind of traditional skills and craftsmanship. And then I decided not to go the art college route, but to go and seek and find these great artists who knew how to draw, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn how to draw first. And then that led me to painting.
That's amazing. So what was the biggest problem that faced you in the beginning, and how did you overcome it?
A problem with in terms of my work?
Yeah, in the start of your career and learning.
Okay, this is a great question. It's very important. The biggest problem was my own mindset. Okay, I grew up here in America, where the traditions had been kind of lost, and there was more of a commercial mindset toward art. And so I had to reevaluate my own intentions and motivations about learning art. And so that began a process of really deep thinking and about what would bring joy to my life when I'm kind of creating art, and why do I want to do this? Was it just to make money, or was it to really fulfill a deeper sense of joy as we create? And I thought, you know, the most important thing I had to do was let go of the ego self. Let go of the ego self and allow the process of learning to happen, to accept where I was at, and to constantly practice to get where I wanted to go. So, and that's a very important thing, because in the art world, especially here in the West, it's really geared around making money. And so I put all that aside, and I said, let's just focus on what this really is. You know, try to be as authentic as possible, accept my limitations, and start to learn the craft. So the hard part was finding the craft, finding people who could teach the craft. And then I just devoted, you know, the last 20 years of my life to this craft. And what I found out was that, you know, you can actually learn this language. You can learn this language if you have a strong enough desire to do it, because it takes a lot of work. So, yeah, I would say that, Mustafa, that was one of the main things, is overcoming our own, you know, mental dispositions, and overcoming, getting into the right mindset. I think that was probably the biggest deal, and still is to this day, to have this kind of beginner's mindset, even when you're working at a higher level, to always strive to learn, always strive to get better and to learn more from nature.
Yeah. So was your family supportive in your start? Because some families are like, don't be a starving artist, because a starving artist is not romantic at all.
Yes.
Be an engineer instead, or a doctor, or a scientist.
Yes. Yes.
There's a lot of pressure in many countries for artist students. So what about that?
Yeah.
What was your experience?
You know, there are a lot of easier ways to make money than with art. So, and some people, you know, I've seen in my own academy here that there are a lot of very supportive parental guidance, and then there's some that aren't. And then some that can go either way. So it's really important to have that personal passion, to be able to believe in yourself and really ignore anybody who is going to discourage your progress, right? And that may include your family. So when I first started out, I didn't, like I said, I didn't have any money at all. I was very poor. I came from a very poor background. And what I would do to study, I would do anything it took. So I had no help financially. So I had to go and I would dig ditches. I would rake leaves. I would do landscape work just to get enough money so I could study with a master. And I would do whatever it took. And I would do menial jobs. I did everything from cleaning, to I worked on roofs, anything it took to go and study from a master or for someone who knew how to draw. And then I would work very hard in spending a lot of time practicing. So that was something that I struggled through. And so I'm very aware of artists who maybe have different backgrounds, but the most important thing that you can do is to just keep going. Okay, don't stop. Whatever it is that might distract you, always keep your drawing, keep your painting going and consistent in some way. Maybe we have to. I remember I had one job where I was cleaning the drive-thrus at McDonald's, and I would work at night, so all night long, so till 3, 4 in the morning, and then I would go and I would draw. So with this kind of art, you do have to have your own motivation. You have to have it within you to just say, this is what I'm going to do. And eventually it gets easier. And the people who didn't support you at first, they start to support you. And, they say, okay, nothing's discouraging this artist, let's, he must be serious. So that tends to happen.
Yeah, that's a big motivation for a lot of artist students right now, because they say, only trust fund babies have money to go and study and buy art materials.
Right.
Yeah,
so it certainly is easier if you do have money, but then again, the struggle builds character, and I don't think my art would be different if it were easy, and so that struggle, the kind of pushing through the hard times, that builds your art as well, and it informs your art and in my opinion, makes it better. Because, as humans, you can see that in the work. And if you have that drive and that power, that purpose, that's going to come across in your painting. I would say it's not easy, but what in life is easy? Every job is hard.
Yeah. So do you remember the first painting that you sold?
The first painting I sold? Oh, gosh. One of them, I know there was a time where I would go do a lot of outdoor painting on location. And I think I would go to the beach and just start painting and doing a lot of sketches because I was just doing practice work. And then people would start to come or gather around me on location. And then before you know it, they just come up to you and ask, can I buy that? So I think that happened with me, was with one of my paintings outdoors. Yeah.
Wow. You are so lucky, because some people face people who are like, can you draw me? Oh, please, can you draw me?
Yes. Yeah.
And they think it's a favor, you know, it's
yeah.
we work for free. Like.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, the most, you know, if what I found, this is very interesting, is this is just my personal experience. I'm not saying this is how it is with everyone, but I found that when you forget about money, it comes. So just do good work. That's the most important thing. Just do good work, and that side of things will take care of itself. People will just, at this point, everything I do, practically everything, sells. And it's just because I just try to do the best I can do. You know, you just try to do the best work you can do. You try to get your skill level up. Don't worry about the marketing side of things. It just happens when you do higher level work. And so just work. The best advice, you know, I asked a teacher I had once about that, Nelson Shanks. He was a portrait painter. Yeah. And I said, you know, I was really young, maybe, or, you know, really, really young. And I said, you know, I asked a similar question. And he said, oh, well, what you have to do is draw 16 hours a day. And that will take, everything else will take care of itself. Wow. And you know, he was so right. It put my mindset into what it should be on, which is just improving the quality of your work. That's really important. And then it's not difficult to sell. It really is not difficult if you have that mindset.
Yeah, that's amazing. So tell me, please, how did you create Southern Atelier? How did you come up with the idea?
Yeah, my academy here is just kind of happened organically. Believe it or not, it was one of those things where I really didn't set out to create a school, but it just happened. I was renting a studio space in the area. I had just moved down to Florida from, I was living up north in New York and then Philadelphia, and then I just moved down to Florida, and there was nobody in Florida doing kind of classic, you know, realist kind of work. There was not a lot of representational art here at the time. And so I was just renting a studio, and people came into the studio, and they would, when I wasn't there, and they'd be looking at my stuff. And I remember working on this really big painting. It was of my sister. And my sister had posed for me. And it was kind of one of those more, you know, just a larger work. And the people who came to see it, the other artists in the building, asked me to teach them. So I said, okay. They said, will you teach a painting class? I said, well, the way I trained was you first have to learn to draw before you paint. And so I established a program, an atelier program. That program kind of grew and grew until we got our own building. And then we started getting folks from all over the country. And then now all over the world, people are interested in what we're teaching here, which is an approach that I have kind of distilled from my training and then my experience of teaching. And more and more people are coming to be more open to this idea that you can learn to draw and paint if you're practicing regularly and if you have method and guidance.
That's amazing. So please, let's watch this amazing video and take a tour inside the atelier. Wow, that was fabulous. Amazing results from your apprentice. So please help us to know what an atelier experience is like. What is your program?
Sure. So yeah, I'm really proud of my students. They really have a strong drive, and they're very serious. They're all about the art. That's number one, and just trying to really get to the core of what it takes to become a fine artist. So the program is kind of based here at my academy. It's based on this kind of atelier experience. The atelier, of course, means the workshop, and in French, it comes to mean a kind of training that occurs that is reminiscent of the late 19th century Parisian ateliers. But it's a tradition that goes back to the Renaissance guilds. And I believe that there's a really important correlation between learning to see your eye and then practicing. So we practice a lot. So the artists are here 5 days a week, all day long, and they start off the day by practicing with quick sketching, and then they also transfer into working on their long-term projects. So those projects that they're assigned to do, and we coach them through, are taken from, first of all, working from master drawings. Like you see here in this picture here, she's working from a bark drawing, but other master drawings as well. And then you learn to copy those. And then you move on to working from the cast or the antique.
Okay. Before we move to the cast, please, because some people don't know what is bark blades are. So please tell us quickly about what are.
Sure. Yeah. So it's kind of like, I kind of liken the bark drawings to training wheels in a way. It's a course that one of Charles Bargue, or I'm sorry, Jean-Léon Gérôme was a wonderful artist in the 19th century, and he had a student, Charles Bargue, who had been with him many years. And Charles Bargue created this course for the new people in his studio, where they would begin to learn and begin to acquire a taste for classical art, classical statuary, and then they could copy these drawings and learn the stages of a drawing. And so it's kind of a nice course, and it's very simple. And that's why we like to use it to get people started, so that they can, use their charcoal, learn how to use their charcoal, learn how to use their equipment, the nice feel of the paper, and so on. So learn their values, learn how to model form. And they can do all of this and learn a measuring system that we teach. And they can learn all of this from just these simple lithographs. And we do them in our school. We do them the original size. Many schools do them small. We do them the original size with charcoal. Yeah. And it's very helpful just to get people going, just to get them drawing, people who may not have a lot of experience. And then they learn these principles in these projects. And then we have them work through a number of drawings before we move them to working in the round from the antique.
Yeah, that's great. But some art schools tell their students it's a no-no to use photographs or maybe drawings in the beginning. Just main focus is drawing from life. So bark drawings are not working from life. So how do you respond to these? Some of the controversy about that.
Oh yeah, and let me just say that working from life is #1 priority when you start to learn. And so that's why, while they're working on their bark project, they're also working from the live model regularly, many hours, many hours. Simultaneously, yes, simultaneously. Yeah. And so it is incredibly important. However, you can teach certain simple ideas through a master copy, because you can teach the idea of how did this artist translate life into art? What did this artist edit out from life? What did this artist do to translate life into art? And so that's a little bit of a study in all its own. So we do both. We do both. We work from the flat. We also work from life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. So next.
Oh, this is one of our. So this is Maureen. She came in not too long ago. Never had any training, and so what we're teaching here is light effect. And so working from the antique cast here, I'm so proud of the progress she has made. And we just get her, put all the paints away for 2 levels. At least 2 years, you're going to just be working in drawing, just in charcoal. So so this is one of the casts she was drawing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, usually we start off with a simple one like this, and then we'll move them on to something more complicated.
Yeah. So some people don't know what site size is.
Mm-hmm. Site size, it's just it's a way of measuring, translating measurements the same size as you're looking at. So it's a fairly simple approach, and we don't focus mainly on that. We do both site size and comparative measuring. So the goal for us is to really train the eye to see and to make those judgments just using your eye. The calipers are in your eye, not in your hand, as Michelangelo said. So you want to learn to see accurately. And so all of the practice we do helps with that. But then, and I also feel like site size is kind of like training wheels in a way too. So we get artists started with it to get them in the ballpark, but then eventually you have to start to see on your own.
Yeah. But do you think it's more difficult in the beginning because site size, you don't work, you don't look side to side to the painting and the subject, but you move back steps and then look at both and compare them together, and then you step forward to draw. So when you are stepping forward, you are painting what's in your head. You just take a photograph in your mind and just painting them when you are next to the easel, right?
Yeah, one of the things we do is your drawing point is away from the easel, and so you're observing from a distance. That's a really good aspect of learning it to step back from your work. And so if your drawing point is farther back, you're going to get into the habit of that motion and not just be concentrating on just the details. It's going to give you the big shapes. You're going to be able to translate those shapes easily. So I think it's a good tool to learn to get into that motion. However, like I said, I feel it's only a beginner's tool. I don't feel a site size can work in every circumstance. That's why we always are training the eye to see accurate shapes. We have a very specific way we do that here at my academy. It's based on practicing and measuring comparatively as well. So it's a really wonderful thing to get accurate in your drawing, and that's that's very important, especially for people without a lot of drawing experience.
Yeah, and I guess it's strengthening the memory, the muscle, the memory of the muscle. Because when you are stepping forward to draw, you are painting from, or you are drawing from your memory. So it makes the memory more powerful.
It's comparison too, but yes, it does help. Excuse me.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's one of our apprentices there, working from the cast of The Eye of David, and learning how to make it look. If you notice this drawing, it looks spatial. So it's not just a flat rendering. We teach people how to create space around the object, that whatever that they're drawing. And that's one of the great parts about a chiaroscuro, is getting a sense of space. And so there are a lot of principles that you can learn. This was this was Lee's first cast drawing with us, and you learn these principles of edge and of light effect, and that's really tremendously important. And I really feel light effect becomes one of the great aspects of learning to paint. There's a great translation into that.
Yeah. So some people don't know what is hanging down there. Like people hang their keys, they hang.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
that's a plumb line. That's a plumb line. Yeah. So you can measure off that plumb line your horizontals. Your verticals and horizontals. But the verticals really are one of the most important things in a drawing, is understanding the vertical.
Yeah. That
vertical axis.
Amazing.
Here's Fargo, and she is working on her drawing with black and white chalk. So we progress from just white paper with charcoal, and this is black and white chalk, learning how to model the form, and getting, once again, that light effect that you see, and getting that modeling, the understanding of form, getting that realism, and it's not a photographic realism, which is something I'd really like to make a clear distinction here. What I teach isn't photorealism. That is a different style of art. But what we teach here at the Academy is we teach classic realism. Okay, it's realism based on the eye, the consciousness of a human being, which goes far beyond what a photograph can pick up. And we learn to edit in order to please the eye more. So we want to hold someone's attention in a picture, and we want a real depth and purpose and soul to that drawing or painting. And so we learn to hold the attention of the viewer. We learn that humans are drawn to light, and creating the sense of space and light effect in their work. And so this is to me a wonderful high art, if you will, because we're really using the natural way of seeing, and we're using our own consciousness to interpret and to edit and to emphasize what we see. So that becomes important, because it's not just copying, right? And that's where one thing, some people, even a lot of the academies, they'll just focus on copying. But what we focus on is relationships. So not just relationships of shapes, but also relationships of value to create that light effect. And I think we're having some really beautiful breakthroughs here with our students.
Yeah, that's amazing, really. Next.
Oh yeah, there's another one there. That's second level apprentice, and that she is there creating. Ashlyn is there creating a drawing from the cast, okay, and also really getting that light effect in the work, and then also learning how to model, learning to get that sense of space.
Wow. At a very young age, that's a breakthrough.
Yes, it's amazing. We have, we have students of all ages, from, right out of high school to older folks who are just beginning the artistic journey. And what the amazing thing is everybody no matter what age you are, everyone progresses. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm older, I can't do that, I can't spend the time, you know. But in actuality, time is going to pass anyway, and you will progress because it's a very dedicated program, and you can train your eye. You know, the brain has this plasticity where we can grow and make new pathways, and if we're working it out, it will improve. And we've seen it time and time again with our artists here at the Academy.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so here's a cast painting. We use a fuller palette, okay? And so we're not just using, you know, just an old palette. We're using a newer palette with more colors on it, so we can create the light effect using that full range of color. And so here, one of our former apprentices, Elizabeth, is creating beautiful painting here, capturing the color of the light.
Wow.
And
that's fabulous.
Yeah, so you're seeing the progression here through the program as the students become more advanced in their seeing. They've learned values, they've learned how to model form, and now they're moving into color and how to express that color, how to express this beautiful, beautiful, how to create paintings, really, how to create paintings, you know. I really believe that if you have that dedication to craft, you can create some wonderful, beautiful art that will last a long time and that people will be drawn to. And even if you're painting a cast, it can be beautiful. It's not just a copying of something, but it can be a beautiful painting. Oh, there's Fargo doing a still life, and once again we're using that palette and you know, creating these beautiful paintings. Here's a apprentice working from the live model, and once again, you know, what I'm really proud of most of all is that balance of beautiful classical light effect with tremendous beautiful color, and so you can see here that traditional approach of painting from life, more advanced students working from the model, but also getting that glow, getting that light. And that really is what separates us from a lot of other schools, I think, is that beautiful balance of classicism with the wondrous color and the wonderful glow of light. Mustafa, you're muted. I can't hear you. Are you speaking?
I'm sorry for that.
Oh, there you are.
Let's pause for a second and talk about this amazing classical models. How do you make all these vibes? Like, you are studying in like the 15th century.
Yeah, I always thought I belonged, I was maybe born in a different century.
Yeah, but now you are lucky because you are having mobiles. and
yeah, I'm getting used to this technology, right?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you know, this craft was born in a different time. So we have to have an old school mindset, you know?
Yeah.
And I want people, when they walk into the Academy, to feel like they are just walking into a different era, an era where people actually appreciate beauty, right? And that's so inspiring. And the whole feel of the studio is uplifting, you know, and it lifts the spirit. And I think that's really one of the key things that art can do. It can lift our spirit. And so when we come into the studio, we're feeling the vibes, we got that wonderful energy, and then you'll have a model walk in like here, Joffrey, who comes in and he's dressed in that, the 17th century era, and
but he doesn't speak Latin.
No, he's just but we have wonderful models. I mean, all of our models are incredible, and they have these vast collection. We have a vast collection of costume here at the studio as well, so sometimes we'll go rummage through, we'll find something to put on our models, and it's very creative and fun to paint. I just am one of these guys that I find kind of modern clothes a little not so fun to paint. So sometimes we have to put our model in some costumes. I like it. And we have a great time doing it. It's just about having fun and then learning while we're doing that.
Yeah, traveling through time. It's really unique.
Yeah.
And now?
Oh, yeah. This is a beautiful Rembrandt copy that one of our students did, and you can see what I was really proud of her with was the edges. Rembrandt was really able to control the edges in a painting, the softness and the lost edges, and then modeling the form. Difficult to see on the computer screen. A lot of these paintings, if you see them in person, they're going to just blow your mind, because they work really on a macro level, but they also work on a micro level. And so you can stand in front of the painting and really look at it and study the painting. And, we spare no effort to get where we're going, So we want to really... and of course, Rembrandt was, one of our great inspirations here for the studio with the beautiful light effect that he gets in his paintings.
Yeah, amazing. So now let's move to the Mayanist, Charles Miano.
Yeah, this is just a sketch I did from the model. We have a model who is just wonderful. Name is Aaron Hood, and he is very strong, but he's also very thin, and so it's always fun to study anatomy. And so this is a nice anatomical study that I did a while back.
Yeah, it seems like there is great emphasis for anatomy in your works and in your students' works.
Yeah, we don't just copy, but we also use knowledge and observation, and we combine those. Mm-hmm. And in so doing, I think we can create something that goes beyond just a mere kind of picture that you take or a copy. So we're imparting the movement. Like in this sketch, there's some movement there, right? There's a little bit of energy to the drawing. It still has a classical feel. It's not a highly rendered, light effect, but it has something of that gesture. And I think that's important in this new movement of realism, is to maintain that wonderful energy that the old masters had, which sometimes can get a little bit stiff if you're just copying a model, so you want to add to it. And that's what I did with this sketch.
Yeah, I'm in love with this sketch. It's amazing.
Thank you. You're very kind, Mustafa.
So now, please tell us about your use of technology and application phone apps for studying anatomy and comparing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we don't have to dissect bodies now, like Michelangelo, and Leonardo. We don't have to go to a cadaver, although that doesn't hurt. But today we've got we've got the technology. So I use some medical apps, and medical apps you can just open up and look at every muscle. You can take the muscles off, and you can see the skeleton, and you can see the different muscles and their attachments and their insertions on the bone. And so we use that here at the school as well. So it's our way of really dissecting the anatomy. And anatomy gives your drawing and your painting authority, right? If you know it, it just gives that little extra authority to your work. If you don't know it, it kind of shows. So it is important to kind of, as a part of this program, we teach that. Weekly we have, we're doing so many drawings from life. It's a tremendous amount of drawings, but we're breaking down portions of the body. Sometimes we're doing very quick studies, very gestural studies, but then we're also teaching the anatomical structures.
Amazing. And by the way, this is a screenshot from Charles Miano DVD.
Yes.
And there is a surprise. I can't really wait to say it in the end. So now I want to say a surprise.
Sure.
Now anyone can have a discount on the DVD until the end of the month. And
wow.
Thank you, Eric Rhodes, my good friend, for his generosity and allowing this discount.
Yes, I was so honored to do that DVD with Streamline Art Video, and it was very generous for them to offer this discount for that drawing DVD. And I packed all of this, a lot of information in that DVD, especially with the anatomy. And I think a lot of people have really grown from learning some of these things. And we put our hearts and soul into making it, and it was really awesome that they're going to have this coupon for us. If you guys would be interested in getting that portrait drawing DVD, which I was really proud of.
Yeah, and what's its length?
So
16 hours?
Yeah, I think we did.
Many hours.
I think it was about 11 hours of content there.
I don't remember.
Which is a lot of content. So it's actually a very reasonable price.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of content. We did a drawing from the model. We did some anatomical, and we talked a little bit about old master drawings too, which was something I love to do. I love to study the old masters, and their approach, and learn as much as we can from them. And I'm always learning too. I'm always learning every time I sit in front of a model or do a drawing. However you're doing your drawing, you're learning something. And so even if you feel your drawing isn't any good, you're learning from that process. And so it's really good in that sense. And so, just having that mindset of non-attachment so you can keep practicing is important. And then there's almost everything you need in that DVD to draw a portrait. And there's a lot of information there. So I'm really grateful to Eric for that.
Yeah, and by the way, Streamline Art Videos made a free segment of this DVD among many DVDs through COVID-19. They shared every day free segments, like an hour or two from these DVDs. So it's
that was
amazing.
Incredible. That was incredible, watching all those on Facebook, and then all the interviews Eric's doing, and just really keeping us all encouraged and inspired, So yeah, there's I think there's some of that video, a preview of that video online that you guys can see.
Yeah. So now let's go to a really most common question. Many people, when they see your work, they say, "Oh my God, is it digital painting? How does he mix these brush strokes? Like we can have this this amazing zoom. Oh my God. How do you make this? So make the confession now, please. How do you make these brush strokes? Because they seem digital.
Brush strokes, I study calligraphy. The secret is study. I studied calligraphy, and I studied Chinese calligraphy and Chinese painting. And so the way you layer the strokes, both soft and sharp, is what gives it that effect. You notice how soft my paintings are. They look sharp. There's some real, like right there, there's a really, there's a couple of sharp edges, but most of it is soft. And I think that's what I really try to do. So when I'm painting, I build up, I build the whole painting soft first, the whole thing soft. And then I'm really squinting down to find where the sharp edges are, okay? And that's what attracts your attention, draws the eye. But also, and one of the things we have in our program here is brushwork study. So for an entire year, students are using just monochromatic paint and learning how to manipulate that paint, both soft and sharp. And then also another important thing that I think is what you're referring to, Mustafa, is I will work on a general macro level, but then I will take an area and go into an extreme micro level. Like, for instance, if you were to zoom in on the eyes here in this portrait, and the cheeks and the eyes and the wrinkles around there, that's an extreme micro modeling that I do with very tiny brushes. Okay, but then most of the other stuff I do with larger brushes. So the balance between the extreme concentration, the extreme modeling with the small brushes, and then those large brush strokes gives it, to me, an interplay and a kind of a dynamism to the work of art. And so the stuff that looks small really looks small, and the stuff that looks big because they're playing off each other. I have a lot of fun with that. I also, you can see the real softness in the beard there and the light effect on the side, on the right side of his head where it's just glowing, all soft edges. This is something that's absolutely missing from a lot of painting today. A lot of painting is way too sharp. There's way too much detail, and there's not that balance. And so that's where I talk about, Mustafa, where it's not a photograph or not copying a photo. This is not photorealism. Yeah. This is a type of realism that has a real craft to it, that you're balancing kind of, the yin and yang, aspect of things, those polarizing ideas. That's what I really shoot for in my pictures.
Amazing. And a lot of art students are eager to know what brushes are you using. And
so I use a variety, but I have a brush set which is on my website, which you can go. And I use a lot of the mongoose brushes from Rosemary and Company. I love their signature. They have the Miano signature set, and that that's just available on my website. And also, I use a lot of bristle brushes too to get the painting started. So the larger stuff I do with hog bristle brushes, and then the smaller stuff I do with the mongoose, and then even some sable brushes. I usually stick with natural hair brushes if possible. But yeah, those are some things that are helpful. Although I must say that it's not the brush ultimately that's going to make your work better. It's the drawing, it's the eye, it's the training. Okay, but if you have a good hog bristle brush, you can do a lot of work with that.
Yeah. So you don't start with soft brushes.
I start off with the largest hog bristle brushes I can find, number 10s, 12s, and I mass in. I mass in first. And then as the painting progresses, I go smaller and smaller and smaller.
So now, these amazing energetic brush strokes, how do you make it with charcoal?
So I'm going to give you
sticks or
yeah, and well, I talk a lot about it on the Streamline DVD and also in my workshops. But I'll give you this tip. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
This is one of the most useful tools that you could use in a drawing, and I use it all the time. It's called a paper towel.
Wow.
So what I do, I just take a paper towel and I do all those strokes with a paper towel.
Wow.
Yeah, I just fold it up like this. And then I dip it in the charcoal and then shoo, shoo. And if you make sound effects, it's really good. Shoo, shoo.
Yeah, it's like samurai.
Yes.
Amazing.
So it's a lot of fun to do. I like to get big areas done quickly. So you can sit there all day and, some people do that. They'll just take a small pencil and sit there all day and get a nice, beautiful value. But sometimes I'm not that patient. So I'll just, oh, there's a drawing. Yeah, that's the one behind me. That's this drawing here.
Amazing.
Yeah. And that's that too. A lot of paper towels. And then I'll go in and I use different charcoals to get the modeling done, and that light effect, like the strong sense of form and volume. But also, I feel this is something that in my work that, as I get older, I'm kind of allowing myself to be more expressive with my brush work or with my pencils or my charcoal, and so you'll see like the little zigzags and things. These are just one shot. Yeah, just let it go, let it rip, and leave it. And that works if you have a solid drawing to begin with. When you have areas that are soundly proportioned. So otherwise it's just a big mess, but it's kind of a controlled approach, but spontaneous. And when you are drawing a lot, it becomes so it becomes habit, and you're not thinking as much about getting everything accurate, and you can be a little more spontaneous, natural.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wow.
Oh, you got some pictures off different places, I see. Yeah, red chalk is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I like the old red chalk drawing. Oh, there's in the life room doing a demo there. I do a lot of just completely freehand drawing. From the live model, and it's very liberating and very fun to do, and yes, and expressive.
So please, tell us, what are the sticks are you using?
Okay, so I actually have a set of red chalk as well. Wonderful company, Savoir Faire. They put together a Miano red chalk set, and so it's the ones that I like to use. Some of them are pastels from Sennelier, wonderful company in France, and some of them are the Cretacolor dry leads, and they have these wonderful little lead holders. You can see down there on the easel that wonderful lead holder, down there. I love those things. Those are great. And you put the chalk in there. You put those Cretacolor chalks in there, and you can create red chalk drawings. And it's very similar to natural red chalk, where you kind of put them in a holder or a quill to draw with. But they have a little more pigment to them. So you have a little brighter, stronger color than the natural red chalks.
Thanks. So now we can see that you start soft and then put the hard edges in the end. Why do you prefer this against the method of starting solid, starting abstract, and then soft edges, soften edges in the end?
Oh yes, that's a really great question, Mustafa. Because did you know that that's the way the human eye sees? If we were to just squint down, or if we're just looking at something, everything in our peripheral is soft. And I think, we have the way we see is that way, mostly soft with just a few sharp edges, unless we're looking into something and our eyes dilate and then we focus on it. So when you're doing a work of art, and this is a really good tip for artists out there, what you want to do is you want to soften your gaze. And when you do that, when you just squint a little bit, the sharpest edges will come forward and everything else is really soft. And it's part of that method that we train our artists here to see differently. That's what I'm talking about. We train them to see what's important, what's not important. And so by what you'll find out is, as opposed to mechanical means or digital or cameras where everything seems to be in sharp focus, a human being sees at a different aperture. And what we want to do is translate what we see as human beings. So what you quickly realize is that the majority of edges in anything we see are soft. And it also makes the painting and the drawing, more appealing to people because your eye doesn't want to go to a bunch of busyness. Your eye doesn't want to settle into sharpness. Your eye wants to settle. It wants to kind of, stay in front of something that is soft and beautiful anyway. So, that's why I approach it this way. I try to get right to the point of what we're actually trying to see, Mustafa. Drawing and painting has come a long way from the colored in outline. And a lot of ateliers, they still do the very tight outline and color it in, where what we're doing is something different. We have progressed from that, from the Renaissance into, we had tremendous, artists and geniuses of the past like Rembrandt and Titian and, Velázquez, and who were coming closer to the way we actually see in painting. And so our techniques are kind of, progressed into getting right to the point of how a human being actually sees.
That's amazing and a very deep point. So now the next question is that in your DVD, you started with pencil and graphite, and then you moved to charcoal. How did you work charcoal on top of?
So that was the way I did that DVD was to really, I tried to think of how I could explain what I was doing. And I thought I'd go do a more detailed block in or struttura, which described the planes of the head. So that's why I went really far with kind of a structural drawing approach, because it was a method of conveying the ideas of structure to someone who doesn't have a lot of experience life drawing. So, and then when I went to the charcoal, I just made sure that when I was drawing with the graphite, I wasn't going too thick with it, and I wasn't pressing it into the paper or burnishing the paper. I was just going light with it. And so you can just layer charcoal right over the top of that, and there's no problem at all.
Yeah, thank you so much. So now here again, the old school travel.
Oh, yes, yes. We have a wonderful group of reenactors here in Florida called the Landsknechts, and they are they go around to all the Renaissance festivals, and they make their garb to historical standards. They actually sew with needles that just the way they would in the olden days, so they're absolutely historically accurate, and they're so fun to draw and to paint.
Yeah, thank you so much. And now, please bear with me because there are a lot of people are eager to this interview. Now,
okay.
we will have the critique session, and thank you for your generosity for accepting this critique. And there's a worldwide artists through over the world who are eager to know your critique, and we will kick it off with an artist from Syria.
Her
name is Lina Al-Katib.
Well, first of all, I'm honored. This is Lina, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, Lina from Syria. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I'm just so thrilled that we can get to connect with basically the other side of the world through art, and it's just so important to me. It really is. I'm so honored. Well, Lina, well done on your painting here. Do we know anything about Lina? She's living in Syria, and she's a painter there.
Yeah.
Very cool. So let me take a look at this. This is the first time I'm seeing these pictures. Let me take a close look. And I really like your boldness, Lina. You have a lot of boldness there, and I like your subject matter. Very good, very good. Let's say zoom out a little bit. I have one tip for you, Lina. One tip, okay? Would you be open to me just giving you one tip for your work of art here? All right. I would say that the one thing you can do, Lina, that's going to improve everything in your painting is just squint a little bit more, okay? And what happens is a lot of what's happening in the shadows of what we see will kind of coalesce, and the shadows will dim. And so I would say maybe, and I could be wrong because I'm not really seeing the source material for this, but maybe the reflected lights on this piece might be a little bit strong. So a reflected light is going to be a light that's in the shadow, okay? And I really like how you handled the kind of the soft edges of the far side. That's very good. But in the shadows, maybe on the arm and so on, the hand, maybe we can simplify the values a little bit more. And I think that if there's anything that you could improve on, it's going to be values, okay? We're going to make the lights, we don't want to put too many darks in the lights, and we don't want to put too many lights in the darks. So I think on just some of the modeling here, maybe we can tweak that a little bit. But well done. I really like your piece. Very nice.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, Tasnim El-Tarhouni from Libya.
From Libya, fantastic! Yeah. Wow.
Tasnim.
And who is it now?
Tasnim.
Tasmin. Oh, no, wonderful.
Tasnim. Nim.
Meme. Tasmim.
Yeah. It's Tasnim, but okay.
Oh,
it's too hard for you.
I wish I could see Tasmin in person, or over the video too, so I could speak. But I really appreciate the artists over there, and this is a nice piece. I mean, I can see really strong, vibrant color there. There's a lot of boldness there with the color. That's very nice. Let me say this, maybe, if you want, maybe a critique. Make sure if you can, make sure that you can observe from life. You've got some nice drawing there, but I think also the values could use maybe a little bit of work. Separating the lights from shadow, okay, and being very clear about what is in the shadow, what is in the light, okay? So even when you have those vibrant colors, maybe the shadow on the orange there at the bottom could be a little bit more consistent, and then maybe some of the halftone in the orange, around the orange, might be just a touch dark. So near like going toward the highlight on the orange. So yeah, right around, all the way around. So pretty good, but a lot of people think that sometimes if we make the halftones darker, it will make it appear more round, but the opposite actually happens. We want to lighten those halftones and create the separation between the lights and shadows. Also, just be a little bit careful. One other thing, be a little bit careful of how saturated your color is, how chromatic your color is, especially in the shadows. Okay, the color can be more chromatic in the lights, because that's the way light works. Light reveals the chroma. But in the shadows, like maybe in the shadow of that orange, the chroma is very high. So we would want to bring the chroma down just a little bit in the shadows, and that will give more of a naturalistic impression. But very well done. Thank you for showing me this painting.
Thank you. And now we will move to Jordan.
Jordan. Oh,
Jordan, yeah.
fantastic.
Layan Bakri.
Layan.
Yeah.
Bakri. Wow. So very nice drawing here. Very nice drawing, Layan. Oh, wow. I can see you have a real eye for detail and subtlety. Okay. Lots of detail there. And I can see overall. Once again, I think, like I'm looking on the face, first of all, a little bit of editing. That's what I would say might help. A little bit of editing about what are the important details to put in and what to leave out. Okay. So for instance, on the shadow side of the face, we have a nice shadow there. Okay. And I'm going to just also talk to you a little bit about values. You know, we talk about values all the time in the Miano Live Online, the workshops, and where I'm giving, you know, specific direction with the system that we use. But here's a tip for you. Now, the shadow side of her face has quite a bit of light, rim light on it, or reflected light. Yeah, there. That might be too light compared to the darkness of the overall shadow on her face. So I would probably either darken that rim light a little bit, reflected light, or lighten the shadow just a touch, the core shadow just a little bit. Now, when you come out of the shadow, like on the forehead there, you have a really clear, what I like about it is you have a really clear distinction between the shadow and the light. There's a nice clear distinction there. But the transition between the two is a little abrupt, okay? So what I would say is some of the halftones on the forehead, in the middle of the forehead there, some of those halftones might be a little bit dark. And so if you just lighten those a little bit, coming away from the highlight on the forehead, and if you lighten it and let the values go gradually toward what we call the terminator line, or that shadow line. Let it be a little more gradual and soft there, and let the modeling happen along that edge. Okay, spend time on that edge, letting a slow gradation come out of that shadow and lighten up those halftones in the lights a little bit. That's going to give you a little bit more sense of form in your drawing, and I think overall that will help you. So it's just organizing the values once again, just a little bit, okay? Just organizing those values, making sure the lights are slowly grading toward the darks, and then having those darks remain consistent too. But I like your boldness, and I like your eye for subtlety and detail there.
Thank you so much. And now let's move to Egypt. Now his name is Mahmoud Zaki.
Mahmoud Zaki.
Yeah, yeah.
And is that a relation to you at all, Mustafa?
No, but he's my friend. He's a good friend.
Okay, beautiful.
Mahmoud is a very common name in Egypt. Mahmoud, Ahmed, and Muhammad, and they are all variations of blessed, meaning blessed.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, you are blessed, and we're all blessed to have this craft that we're all working on, that we can do art. So I'm just honored. So all the way from Egypt here. Let's take a look at this drawing. This is a really beautiful drawing. I really want to, very nice drawing. You've got a lot of wonderful passages in the work there. I want to really commend you on your modeling is looking good. Your values are looking pretty good. I like the nice flat shadow shapes. That's also looking pretty good. So yeah, nice flat shadow shapes, right? And then I really like the modeling in the left arm too. That looks like a nice round arm, really nice modeling going on there. So my only suggestion, I think, would be edges, okay? So here's a little tip for in the future. And that would be when the values are very far apart, you have sharper edges. And when the values are getting closer and closer together, we want to accentuate the softness of those edges, okay? And so there might be a few areas where your edges are a little bit sharp, where the values are close, okay? So just keep that in mind as you move forward in your work. Just keep that relationship in mind. And then one other thing, I'm being really hard on everybody today, aren't I?
No, you are so gentle. You are so gentle. And all of them are eager to learn from you. You know, you are such an inspiration, and they wish to travel and study with you.
Oh, that's very kind. I hope one day to meet everybody. I want to come over there. I want to come over to you, Mustafa, to Cairo.
You will.
Yeah. But one other thing on this drawing, and that is just when you're working with anatomy, you've got some nice anatomy, especially in the face and in the neck, but on the wrist and into the hand. That would be an area where maybe you can get out anatomy reference or book, and you can just put a little more information in there. It's compared to the rest of the drawing, that portion might just need a little bit more information.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So that's my critique.
Yeah, that's another one from Egypt. Her name is Angie.
Angie.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's got some nice colors there. I like this painting. Very nice. And I'm looking at it, and you know, we have some the values are looking pretty good. I'm going to say there's one thing, just one thing that I would like to say about this picture that maybe will help Angie in the future. Okay, and that would be this. There are areas in this painting that are really nicely modeled and really beautifully done and mass-oriented. But there are other areas that are a little bit more linear, okay? When I say linear, I mean that we're trying to find, you know, the borders of things. So what my eye immediately goes to is the nose and how there's kind of a linear line around the nose, on the outside of the nose, on both sides of the nose, right? It kind of makes this kind of linear thing on the right side of her face, okay? And then also the eyebrows are a bit linear, right? Almost as if we're drawing across the form. what we want to be aware of is that in any place in a painting, we should try to get rid of the lines, okay? Anywhere that it almost feels like we're creating a border or a contour of something, we have to stop that and break the line. Because what we're really dealing with in painting is mass, edges of color shapes, okay? So I think edges is going to be the key for your progress in the future. We can learn how these color shapes merge through edge. And I think that's the one thing I think that will just want to push you a little bit more in that direction with working with your edges and trying to break the idea of line, okay, when we're painting.
Thank you so much. And finally, we go to the West, Morocco. Yes,
Morocco. Oh, I always want to go to Morocco too.
Yeah. Yasser is a good artist who's studying engineering, and he has a lot of passion about art.
Beautiful. And what's his name? Do we know his name?
Yasser Basira.
Yasser. Oh, nice drawing here. It really reminds me of a little bit of an old master feel to this drawing. Very nice. I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at the drawing, and I'm saying, hey, we've got some really nice things happening here. I like the information he's put in, particularly on the neck. You've got some nice anatomy there. In between the features, a lot of times that's neglected in a drawing, you know, stuff that's happening in between the features. But he's really put in some nice information there. And he's got the cross hatching going on, which is nice. If I have one tip for Yasser, it would be that maybe, just maybe, we can try to clean up the noise a little bit in some of the passages of value. And so maybe just, especially in the shadows, like the shadows tend to be areas where we don't want the eye to look at. And so if we maybe flatten the shadows out a little bit, make them not quite so much texture in there, in the shadow shapes, it will draw our eye to the light shapes, okay? So, and when we're looking at the light shapes, we want to spend all of our efforts in the light areas, modeling the lights, and each plane, you know, so I would look at that forehead and really try each plane in that forehead, what is happening, and spend most of our time and energy in the light areas of the drawing, and then keep the shadows a little bit, downplay the shadows a little bit in the drawing. And it will, because human beings, when we look at a painting or we look at each other, our eye immediately goes to the lights. We go to the light, and our eye kind of ignores the shadows. So I love the values. The values are good, but I would just say maybe, if anything, you could possibly just downplay the detail and noise in the shadow, and then pull up some of the modeling in the lights.
Thank you so much. Now we end the critique sessions. Thank you for your generosity, and it's really helpful.
Oh, thank you.
And I learned a lot from just listening to you. Now we got to the end of the interview. We have just a few questions from your fans. First, we will go
question time. All right, that sounds good.
Not so much. First, we will travel to New Zealand, and there's a very important question from my friend Angus Johnson.
Oh, Angus. Yes, yeah. Angus. How are you, Angus?
Yeah. He says, first and foremost, what's your recipe for your famous tomato sauce? I have been waiting more than 1 year for this.
Oh, my goodness. I posted a video on my Instagram of me making my famous Miano family ragu sauce. And You know, I don't think I ever posted the recipe, but I posted the video on how to make it. So you know what, Angus? That's a good reminder. I'm going to have to do that. It's usually a family secret. You know, we keep this in the family. But I suppose, since you asked, I will maybe I'll post it on my Facebook or Instagram or something.
Yeah. So he has another question. What's your top 5 old masters?
My favorite old masters?
Top 5.
Top 5. Well, that's an easy question for me.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you know, I love Rembrandt. Okay, Rembrandt, you know, is just wonderful. He influences a lot of what I do. Love Rembrandt. But another artist that I really love is an artist by the name of Johann Liss. Johann Liss. And Johann Liss was a student of Rubens. And he was incredible draftsman. And he died young. But he had some wonderful paintings, incredible compositions. And we have one of his originals here in Sarasota at the Ringling Museum of Art. But Johann Liss was wonderful. Love Johann Liss. He had that dynamism in his work. Beautiful composition. I also, you know, I would have to say Caravaggio, you know, and some of his followers are definitely artists I love. The, you know, wonderful chiaroscuro and you know, the tremendous sense of light and drama in his work. Let's see, other old masters. I know I'm going to forget some. I like, I would say, I don't know if he's an old master. He probably, yeah, he is. I would say Antonio Cesari, an Italian academician in the 19th century, wonderful artist. Of course, you know, these are going to be changing all the time. I'm really into Titian right now. Velázquez are wonderful. I tend to go for a little bit more of those painterly artists over the really tightly rendered stuff. And then there's just, I mean, there's obviously millions of wonderful artists. I'm studying all the time and finding new artists to look at. But I would say, in general, those are a few of the ones I like. Let's see, anybody else that just immediately comes to mind? Yeah, well, yeah, I would say that's probably it for now. Yeah.
Yeah. So another question from Asma Abdelrahim from Egypt. She's from Aswan, the south of Egypt.
South of Egypt, how cool!
Yeah,
oh,
they
I'd
have
like to go
amazing
there.
monuments there.
Oh, I want to go.
Yeah,
yes.
Someday you and David Miano will.
Yes, my brother. Yes, my brother,
yeah.
The historian.
Yeah. So she asks how to find your own style and when.
Really, really great question. Really great question. What a wonderful question. Well, that's an important one. But I would say try not to think about it too much. Try to just study nature, focus on learning the craft. And you're going to come out automatically. You don't have to worry about it, okay? You'll be influenced by your teachers, okay? So you want to pick teachers that you like their work, you know, because your style will be influenced by your teachers. But other than learning the craft, and just trying to get better at that, you don't have to worry about it so much, okay? Today, in modern art in this world where, you know, the ego is very big and you have to stand out with a style, I'm against all of that. I think you just have to be yourself. Allow yourself just to be yourself and don't worry. It's like learning to write. The alphabet. Everybody has different handwriting, but we're all using the same alphabet, right? So it's a very similar thing with art. You know, the other thing I would just tell you with that is don't look too much at artists, contemporary artists. Look at a lot at old masters and the people who are learning from the old masters, okay? Let your influences be the top artists of all time, and go to the museums. Try not to get caught up in too much social media and Instagram and all this, where there's just so much art that people are churning out. You want to not worry so much about, you know, making a name for yourself, establish, and worry about the craft, the fundamentals, getting good at the language so that you can express yourself. That will liberate your creativity, but also just be yourself. And everyone is different. We all have different personalities. Some of us are maybe more reserved. Some of us might be very flamboyant. You know, we're all different. And that will just automatically come out in your work. So that's a few tips that I have for that. Also, always try to get better with your craft, okay? And I always tell people, I don't teach art, I teach craft, okay? And your own artistic sensibility is, you already have, it's in you. But the craft you can work on, okay? And that's going to help you just, you know, to come out. And then eventually, as it becomes spontaneous, you will automatically. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, thank you.
That's what
amazing advice. And here we have amazing comments from many people. And now we are going to the end of the live stream. But before we end, we have to make some announcement for all people who are eager to learn more. So first, okay, there is an upcoming workshop with Charles Miano. It's painting the draped figure.
Yes, since the pandemic, I've had to teach online and live workshops. So if you're interested in painting with me, you can go to our website and sign up for that. That's open to the whole world. Anyone around the world with an internet connection can come and paint with us, and that's a workshop in November. And as we move forward, we're going to be doing these workshops for the foreseeable future. So we'd love to have you in our group. And we have a community on Facebook called the Global Paint Along Community. And I actually give critiques right in the group. People post their drawings from the class, and I'll actually comment on them. Not all the time, but sometimes. So it's a wonderful community that we're building. And yeah, we appreciate that, Mustafa, sharing that with everyone.
Yeah, and now the free event, like, even if some people at a hard time through the pandemic, if they have a thin wallet, now you all can watch Charles Miano in a free demo and maybe a workshop which is called Global Paint Along, and he gives critiques to people, and it's really amazing opportunity to get inside the studio and watch his process from start to finish.
Well, that's where I met you, Mustafa. I think it was one of our paint-alongs, right?
Yeah, here.
Yeah.
Oh, this silly face.
Yeah. Oh, that one. Yes, yes. So the Global Paint-Along will be on... Oh, there you are. I see you up there.
Yeah, this silly face.
That will be January 6th, 2022. So we're planning a special surprise subject matter. But if you get on the list now, you can get into and start registering for it and save that date, because it's going to be a huge global party. And like I said, we're doing it complimentary, free, so that we can get to meet all our friends from around the world, and I can get a chance to communicate with everybody.
Yeah, it was amazing. I remember this one.
That's the one where I was wearing the cowboy hat.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
So if anyone want to know about this stuff, you have to follow Charles Miano on Instagram and Facebook. And this is a group.
Yes, yes.
Global Paint Along Community.
So it's a Facebook group, Global Paint Along Community. Join us, and yeah, you'll get all the updates in there about what's going on.
Yeah, and there is a surprise that many of you don't know, that Charles' brother is an art historian. His name is David Miano, and he has a lot of amazing videos on YouTube. You can follow his channel, and I was privileged to attend. Yes, this silly face.
There you are. There you are, Mustafa.
The silly face. I was privileged to attend an art history lecture with him. He's really
wasn't that great?
Yeah.
Especially, we enjoyed your comments about the Egyptian art, Mustafa. That was really cool.
And I was feeling very special, and I invited him to visit Egypt someday, and I invite you to maybe someday you can
we'll come together. Maybe we can come together and see you.
Yeah, and his name is David Miano. And another event that I recommend to anyone, because I attended the last year Realism Live, and it was a life-changing event for me. And now we just share this little video of Realism Live. It's an amazing event, life-changing, and I attended Plein Air Live and I attended Realism Live, and they both really amazing experience, and I recommend it to anyone. And also, wait a second, where is this? Chair. I want to share this. Just bear with me just a second. Stop sharing. Yes, press share button. Yeah. And you can all follow Eric Rhodes. He makes interviews with many artists, and you can yes, me again, this is. Now
I remember that. How cool was that? He interviewed you.
If you want to know about a live in Egypt of an artist, I recommend you all to watch this interview. Just type day number 34. Yeah, sorry, 34, and watch this interview, and you will find many interviews with amazing artists. And on Streamline Art videos, you will find free segments from many DVDs. Among them, the DVD of Charles Miano, you can watch more than 1.5 hours.
Great opportunity
DVD, and you will learn a lot. Even if you can't buy it now, you can just watch the free sample, and it will blow you away. And in the end, I'd like you all to watch this little clip of my interactive mural for COVID-19. You can watch the whole video on Instagram.
Excellent. Can't wait to see this.
So the idea is that when you watch this, when you watch. Under the blue lighting, all the doctors will appear very depressed, and the background will appear black or disappear. And when someone gets closer to this painting, there is sensors. Okay, who will? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, it froze.
What an interesting concept.
Yeah, just bear with me just a second. It froze.
Fascinating concept.
Yeah, so under the blue lighting, and when someone gets closer, and the sensors will detect the motion, and then it will send signals to a microcontroller like a computer to send signals to the lighting to change. And it will, when the white lighting turns on, you can find the whole subject. That there is another doctor's preparing, and there is hope, and there is support coming.
That's lovely, Mustafa. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. I just froze this. Just bear with me just a second.
You're coming through fine here.
Yeah. Now, yeah. Oh, now we're good. Oh, sorry, it froze a little bit. So, and in the end, I'd like to invite you and all my friends and everyone watching from all over the world to visit Egypt. And there is the end. We will watch this little video clip. Just bear with me.
Wow. Wow. What a beautiful place. All the food. I want to eat that food.
بلدك التانية فيها كتير لسه ما شفتوش. تعال وعيشها من أول وجديد. هي دي مصر.
So, I really hope one day to see you all in Egypt, and thank you so much for this amazing interview. It took a lot of time, and thank you for your patience. Thank you for your generosity, and
great job, Mustafa.
100% sure that all of the art students and all the Artaholic group members are very happy with this interview, and can't wait to see you again. And everyone, please follow Charles to follow all of the updates coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mustafa. I really am honored, and I hope to get to know everybody over there in your part of the world. And one day I will come visit, and maybe we can have a break bread together.
Yeah, it will be amazing. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and stay tuned for the upcoming stuff. They will be amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Charles.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.